Do you like the Oakland A's? Are you a fan of the Golden Knights? Do you love the Los Angeles Chargers? Well then, my friend, you're in the right place. This is the Snake Sports Talk Show with your host, Jake the Snake Silva, brought to you by the Spotlight Sports Network.
So, I started to think about this with hockey, and they made an announcement that they will be doing what the NBA did. If there's one thing that the NBA did right with themselves, and what Adam Silver initiated, was putting endorsements on the unis. And Gary Bettman and the NHL are on the same boat. Remember, hockey is not that big of an organization that makes a whole lot of money. They're not. It's unfortunate, but at the same respect, this is also a game. It's fast-paced. It's physical. But there are a lot of superstars that are there. But it's been mostly a team effort type of sport. And the league has already had a couple of lockouts in their past histories. They could not afford to do another one. Because after all the money that has been made, it doesn't really make a whole lot. It's not like baseball, because baseball doesn't have a salary cap. This one does. But they don't have the money cushion like the NFL or the NBA, and let alone baseball. I say this all the time. Could you imagine if hockey players had the financial contracts as football and baseball and NBA players? I mean, they would be running for the hills. They would be waiting to sign themselves up a contract. And in fact, if there was no salary cap in hockey, who would have been the most paid player? Connor McDavid, Patrick Kane, Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin. The names would have gone on. But the league is the way that the league is. It's a salary cap league. They don't really get paid a whole lot. And so a lot of the times, and this is what I've also kind of carried on about this league, is that any position player you have, you want to pay them to the best extent based upon performances, but also can be impacts in the franchise. Because sometimes, and I've seen this all the time, goaltenders get paid too much, forwards get paid too much, defensemen get paid too much. But that's where you really have to thoroughly evaluate everything in front of you. But in this case scenario with the NHL opened up to the idea and the possibility of endorsements going on jerseys, you have to think about how much money revenue they lost since the shutdown. And this is one that I think the NHL, because they initiated this with their helmets, now it'll be complete with the jerseys, and they needed to make the money back somehow, some way. They weren't going to go through a financial lockdown again, because they've been through this for the last, they've been through this now. I believe this would be the third time. It would be the third time if they had initiated it. I don't think the National Hockey League and Gary Bettman would afford it. Not one bit. So this idea with the endorsements being put on jerseys, I think this is a great thing. If it's worked for anybody, it's worked for the NBA. All the endorsements going back into the organizations and even going out to charities and funds. And then at the same time, I mean, you're also getting a lot of these top talented players. That's why you look at a lot of different areas and a lot of different places with how much that they've earned in revenues from endorsements themselves. I feel like hockey could really be on the same boat. This could help them earn double than what they were making. But it's all about getting the sales of the endorsements. It's pushing that. It's pushing that idea. Hockey, not the most valuable sport when it comes to financials, but it still is a fun sport one way or the other. Fast-paced. You got to keep up with the puck. Physical. You got to learn to take a hit, or you got to learn how to hit. And then teamwork situations. That's what the league has always been shaped as. So I think this endorsement idea, I think this is a great idea. Because at least if you're trying to do any and all that you can to earn back the money you lost from COVID, I mean, you have to think about last year you were in a bubble from Edmonton and Toronto. And you had to ask yourselves, how were you going to end up making the money revenue? Because there were no fans. You still had staff people when it came to restaurants, when it came to hotels. You had a lot of people there around. And in the end, they just kept on playing without fans. But it did cause them to lose at least a little bit of their money revenue. What's going on, Coaches Dante? What's going on? So I don't see this as a bad idea for the NHL, putting endorsements on their jerseys. If it worked for one league, it worked for the NBA. Because think about the television ratings. And they just signed a 7-year contract with Turner Sports with ESPN. I don't know how that is going to really work itself out. But hockey right now is doing any way and all that they can. They're not competing with these other leagues. They're basically wanting to be better than where they were before. So I think having this endorsement opportunity opens up a lot of different avenues. Like not only just for hockey, but for some, and here's what's funny. Baseball has no salary cap. NFL does, but players get made more money than anybody anticipated. But sometimes that's reasonable. But in the end, if NHL could have money's worth to keeping their players and to at the same time sustain themselves, I mean, that would be an absolute game changer. But only time will tell, and we'll see where it goes from there.